Hello, good morning. Good morning. I hope you can hear me. Good morning and welcome to the Good Morning Education Show this morning. Good morning, Mr. Dewusi. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good morning. Good morning, Folu.
Well,
Good morning,
I'm not
everyone.
sure what's going on with the network this morning, but I hope you can hear me. And we say welcome to every one of our viewers, to everyone in the tribe this morning.
We can see. Can you hear me? I can hear you loud and clear. Oh my. Good morning, everyone. If you're just joining us, welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. Sorry we are starting late this morning. It seems as if we have some some technical issues. But thank God it's Friday. I hope you've had a wonderful week. I hope it's been a productive week. And Fee is back. Fee, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I
Yes.
can hear you now. I hope you can hear me now too.
Yes. I couldn't even hear you before. Yes, so you're back, you're loud and clear.
Oh wow. Wow. I didn't know I was getting heard. We're so sorry for starting the show late this morning. It's been a lot of hitch with the network, but hey, we're here and we are raring to go this beautiful Friday morning. It's been an exciting week, all through the week, and being here and knowing that our tribe members are there, we are excited to have you on the show again this morning. Uh, we would like to know where you're logging in from, so please let us know. Drop your location as you come in this morning. I think we should just keep the headlines. We have lost quite a lot of time, and we should just go straight to the business of the day so that we can cover some grounds while other analysts also join us. So this morning we'll be talking about um, birth order, and its effect on the academic performance of children, of students. So when we talk about birth order, we're talking about the so your first child, second child, or is in the family. Does this really have any impact on the way a child performs in class? What do you think, Zadeusi?
Um, Today's topic is quite interesting.
Interesting,
Hon-
right?
Yes. Honestly, I don't. I wouldn't say is the order particularly that affects, but it's what the order can result in the other environmental factors. So let me give you an example. So if you are the first, so typically what happens is that your parents are all dotting everything that you need, they're all dotting. As they have more children, they are less so, the excitement of the first child. So it's not so much that because you came, you are the first or the fifth. It's really your family environment. um some of the things that happens is that it is if you are the first child, your parents, you have it's only you, and maybe they don't have people around the house. You might not talk as fast as someone that is the third and fourth, that had conversations constantly all around them, and then the fact that your parents are a bit more knowledgeable, haven't had the experience with other children, in terms of how they deal with you, might be a bit different. So I won't say that it's the fact of your position, but it's really just the environmental factors. So your position, a lot of there's a lot of background noise. Okay. Finny, there's so much background noise from your end.
Oh, okay. Loud
Okay.
means
Please.
that I hope it's not interruption from the network. I hope not.
Okay. It's a bit better. So do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
What so it's all those
Yes.
factors. So you most likely have more books in your house. By the time you're the fourth child, books that you pick up, you will read. Because your older ones are talking about certain things, you might pick them up faster than someone who's an only child and doesn't have all that in their house. So I would say it's particularly because of your birth. It's just that the family dynamics, what's in the family dynamics now, that can help you do better in school. It's the same thing whereby your parents have learned what has worked with your siblings, so it's easier for them to start it with you, from the beginning. So that I say that it's all those environmental factors, not so much that you came first or you came, or you are the first or the second. You can actually be the first, and those factors are already there in your family because your parents have, maybe your parents were the last and they had helped take care of their siblings' children, so they have more of that experience and exposure in terms of the environment that they need to create.
Oh, right. Thank you so much for that introduction. Thank you. And good morning, Sunday, Olabode, Oladokun. Thank you for joining us all the way from the position in the introduction, from the opening that we have had from Izadeusi. Yes, there are times that I sometimes think that, apologies to all parents, but I sometimes think that the first child is the experiment child. That's your introduction to parenting, and that's the child that you can use to learn some things, to unlearn some things as others come up. Yes, there are improvements on the parenting. But is there a chance that maybe, like for the first child, for instance, so every parent wants their first child to be the example for their siblings, at least many times it's, be good examples for your siblings and all of that. Does that put pressure on the first child to overachieve? Or does it put pressure on the first child and then makes it um is it difficult for them to really, if they're not meeting up to the expectation of the parents for them, does this have any effect on them academically? Welcome, Ugochie, the safety chick. Welcome to the show this morning.
Good morning, Finny. Good morning, Mrs. Adelsi. Good morning to
Good
all
morning.
our viewers this morning.
Good
Okay.
morning,
Good
you're
morning,
welcome.
safety chick.
So, we're talking about the effect of birth order on academic performance of children. And just before you came in, I was asking a question. I think we'll take that, would also use that as your opening remark. So I was asking that, for many parents, their first child is their experiment child, is the one, no matter what you have read, no matter what the literature has said. Now, this is the one that you can everything you have read, that now is the time to put it to practice. And when it comes to academics especially, we parents want that child that, oh, everybody can say yes, you're doing well with this child and all of that. Does that put pressure on, let's take now the first child, does that put pressure meeting up to the expectation? If they're not meeting up to to the expectations of their parents, does it lead to frustration or what on them academically? Ugochi.
Okay, so I agree that it's some pressure on the first child because it's the first child that a lot of parents, pay a lot of attention. There's always this joke that the last borns get away with a lot of stuff because the parents have expended all their energy on the ones that on the ones that came ahead. you know. So yes, there is that pressure on the first child, to behave well, to lead by example. And again, there is the pressure that comes from the fact that for some of these first children, they are also the ones that are made to do a lot of errands around the home, take care of the younger ones, do the house chore and all that. So they may not have as much time if they are not able to, should I say, go the extra mile. They may not be able to manage doing all that with studying, and so that can also affect the academic performance because they are sort of being mini parents in some homes. You see,
Mm,
so in terms of the parent, from the angle of the parents wanting them to overperform, that's a challenge. From the angle of the children also maybe working, they're already tired, so they just want to sleep. That's also another angle where this bet order can also affect academic performance.
okay, so Mr. Jose, what do you think? What do you think about this?
And pressure on any child can affect them. It's something we always have to be careful as parents, not to put undue pressure as has been defined by society. I keep trying to, as a parent, remember to tell my children that they're unique, they should be themselves, and not be under pressure, because sometimes the pressure is what then leads to other mental concerns in the future. So it's important that at all times, especially when it comes to academics, even in anything really, we're not putting undue pressure on children. Remember that their childhood should be their childhood, their playing and fun period. So I think that's something that is very important for every parent as you start. Yes, I want you to be the role model for your siblings, but I also need to be careful that I'm not also putting you under undue pressure. Everybody needs to walk their own journey. That you didn't have a sibling for role model doesn't mean you shouldn't, so I think we always need to be very careful with any demands that we make on our children that are excessive and um, I don't want to say unreasonable. We should treat each other as individuals. It's because it's a common thing. I mean, I listened to one day our firstborn talk about how she felt, and I was like, really, you felt that way? Because she was the first among seven. She had a lot of pressures bringing up us as siblings. I mean, my parents were there, but they had put a lot of pressure on her. We didn't realize that at the beginning. We just thought she was the perfect firstborn. So in hindsight, we need to be careful. So she sometimes felt that she was made a mother, even before she had married and had her own biological children, because she took care of a lot of us in so many ways. She was our second mommy, to be honest. Actually, she was our first because she had more power than my original mommy. So in hindsight, that's why I say that we all need to be careful in terms of especially because each child is different. You'll be surprised that the firstborn that you're trying to put the pressure on is not might not be able to take that compared to the second or the third. So we need to keep trying to understand our children and what's best for them. Of course, we need to be praying because we are limited in our understanding to of what we think is best. Well, what we think is best for them, we just always need God's guidance and God's direction to treat each child to help nurture them to be the best that they can be. But pressure, whether it's first or second or third, we need to be careful on academic pressure. When we put pressure on children, we don't know the way they react. I know one boy that he started cheating because he felt the pressure. His parents wanted him to really, they wanted him to get those grades, get those grades. So when he just felt he couldn't do it, he just went and found a way to, start cheating. And when he was caught, it was just the fact that he didn't want to, disappoint his parents. He really wanted to get that thing that grade that they told him to get. So they also need to be very careful of putting pressure. I remember my sister, um, she too did a similar thing. So I remember then that she went and changed all the results on her report card because of the pressure she felt from her parents, always comparing her, with this your more brilliant sibling. So she went and changed her report. This is primary school. Oh. This is primary school. She went and changed. But unfortunately for her, in her small mind, she didn't realize that you give your parents a report card that had plenty Tipex. They're going to be asking, they're going to ask the teacher what happened. You understand? Because the report card had so much Tipex. So of course my parents went to ask the teacher what happened. Why was she making so much mistakes? And that's when they found that the results had been changed and all that. So I think it also got my parents back in check. Not every child will be the math genius, not every child will be the English genius. So till she found her own later on, to find where her strengths were. So that's why I said that the best other is not really the case. It's just the things that it brings about, which from the beginning you need to be very conscious of as a parent. So it's like the last born. There's some people we meet and we say, "Are you the last born?" Because you're like the way you're behaving, you're like a bit irresponsible. So that kind of are you meanwhile the same thing when you meet a firstborn, you're like, are you the firstborn? The person is just so responsible. Like, are you the firstborn? No wonder. So
And if you are not the firstborn and they ask you, the people are surprised, hey, you are not the firstborn and you are this responsible. Like,
do you understand? So what we're just trying to say is let's replicate those things. Let it not be a thing of birth order. They're just some people you meet and you can just tell that the last born. Say, are you the last born? Because the way you're always behaving, always expecting that someone to come and do something for you, someone come and rescue you, you won't take the initiative. And you're not the last born, eh? Are you the only child? That's the next question we will ask. Yeah. Okay, back to you, Fee.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It really is an interesting conversation because, yeah, something that has always fascinated me is birth order. And yeah, reviewing the literature, there is a lot of research that has gone on in the effects of the position in the family on people in different areas. So there's a theory about what position you are in the family and who your spouse should be because of a blend of characteristics that they have found over years and all of that. And so there's this review that middle children, between the first and the last, whatever their position is, that middle children are a lot more independent because somehow they are off the radar. So while there's a lot of attention being paid to the first one, like Ugochi said, being the de facto uh, errand people in the house, being the automatic mothers or fathers, and then the last one with the pampering and all of that, that middle children usually are off the radar. Nobody's really paying attention to what they're doing. So they tend to be a lot more independent. Okay, so taking that review from the literature and running on that research finding, that independence, is there something that what effects could it have on the way or the attitude that a child would have to their academics? Ugochi, let's go with you first.
that's for middle children.
Yes. or the
So middle children, you
independence that
actually
comes
sum this
with
up.
sorry, say that
Independence that
again.
comes with.
Yeah, the independence that comes with that position in the family. Like, okay, so because nobody's really paying too much attention to them, they get their food, they clean up after themselves, and like nobody's really paying attention to them. So they learn to do things by themselves. Does this have any impact in the outlook or their attitude to the academics? Could it have
So
any impact?
I think it can happen both ways. It can either be positive or it can be negative, depending on the family that the child is in. Now, what do I mean by that? If you are in a positive, in a home where there is positive parenting and all that, and you are in the middle, you get to, it's going to affect you positively because you are able to, should I say, get away from all the errand, but you're still able to get the necessary training. You are not like maybe the last one that they're doing everything for. And so you carry that with you into your academics. So you are able to, blend what you've got from home in your place of in school, right? But for some people, it can be negative because maybe they are in a negative parenting situation. They are seeing how maybe there is abuse going on. They are seeing how things are not really as they should be. But now, because they are not the first, they are not bearing the brunt of the negativity like that from their parents. They are of sort of secured, hidden in the middle. It can also affect them that when they now go to places where there is authority, they try to shy away from things. They try to just be in the background, basically they just want to be in that cover and all that. So I am a middle child, but even though I'm a middle child, because I my parents, and I didn't do too badly with my mom either, but I wasn't now the one because I was in the middle. It wasn't when they wanted to send message. I wasn't always in the person that they needed to send. But it did not mean I was jobless because my mom had roster for all the children. So every week, you know what you are supposed to do. Whether you're the one doing toilet and bathroom, or you're the one in the kitchen for the week, or you're the one sweeping all the rooms. You get so we had roster. But again, when they are looking for who is going to be responsible for everybody, they will go and hold my elder sister. Yeah. So if it's in a positive home, positive parenting home, you are able to, become independent. You can do a lot of things by yourself. When you maybe if you even go to boarding school, it even helps. Like I went to boarding school and I was able to manage and all that. But then if you grow up in a negative home, it can affect because you will now want to run away from authority. You don't always want to be the one that will be called because it's a defense mechanism. You are trying to protect yourself so that the backlash that comes from being the one at the front does not come to you. And if a teacher is not really paying attention, you could see that maybe such a child might have a lot of intelligence, but they are just trying to coast along. They don't want to be at the forefront of anything. So if a teacher identifies that, that teacher might just, try to maybe give that person more leadership roles since they can see that they have come out. And so that they know that, okay, things might not be working at home, but they have a future. They can do well with the academics that they have.
Thank you, Gucci. We have some comments from our viewers. Adilola says, "I'm a middle child, and my parents paid attention to me." Yes,
Oh,
we're not
fellow
saying
middle
that
child.
we're not saying that these things are cut in stone or that that it's just from research. What has just been found is that many times um, last born children are more social and more outgoing, and well, because they have their older siblings to practice with anyway. First children are usually a little more reserved, but all of those things still come down to the personality of the individual and of course the kind of parenting and the kind of home that they're growing up in. So we're just looking at what research says and trying to see if this would help in our classrooms. Like Ugochi rightly pointed out, for some children, they really are intelligent. They really know what you're asking of them, but they're just laid back. You need to push. The teacher needs to add a little extra push for them to maybe gain the confidence to speak up or to volunteer to do things at all. It just takes that little push. And Adiola Thomas says the firstborn child is saddled with parent figure responsibility. As a result, so much expectation to deliver. Thank you, thank you. Yes, we had touched on that earlier. Yeah, that's the de facto parents in the house. And Sunday Olabode Oladokun says, I think the birth order has some negative effect on educational attainment on the firstborn child in some families, especially where they are expected to be the best of representatives to the younger ones. Okay. Zadewusi, what would you say to this?
I think the birth order, I keep saying it, is not really the one that has the issue. Is what the parents intentionally do with each. That's what it is. I like what Safety Chick said, where she said her mom had a roster. So in my house, you know how it is. The firstborn cooks, we had chores based on your age. But as people left the house, as my sisters went to boarding school, as they left the house, it meant that you went up the ladder, so to speak. So before we had water dispenser, our jobs were to fill the water. But once water has been boiled and it cools, you fill the bottles. Our roles were to clean the cutleries after they finish washing. So we had those small roles. Then when my first sister went to university and all that, we increasingly went up the ladder. Now we now started cooking. We have started doing. My mom didn't decide she was going to start doing all those things. No. So what that meant is, as people left the house, we then took on the responsibility of washing the toilets, washing the bathrooms. My mom was intentional. The only difference is that, when we are all at home, then the first sister has the opportunity to ensure everybody ate, all things were done. So she had additional responsibilities. But what's important is, which is what Adelola was saying, is that your parents gave you all attention. Of course, we knew who was the favorite, which was my last sister was my dad's favorite. But to be fair to my parents, they gave us all attention. They were at every child. One of our parents will always be at your school event, whatever it is that you are doing. When you are going for exams, someone took you. You get so they were also intentional in their own ways, to balance all the things that we needed to learn, to be independent learners. So the thing is that you have more advantage. So apart from my parents teaching us, I had my senior sisters that taught us. So the person that was good in maths taught us maths. The person that was very good in English, taught us English. So we were more balanced in what we knew. So I wasn't like only good in maths. I was only good in English, because I had two different people who those were their strengths, taught us as well. So, but imagine if you as a parent decide that these are the important things that your child needs to have, and you go out of your way to get them. So because I grew up with plenty siblings, I'm used to working with people of diverse behaviors, because everybody, But if I, as a parent, ensure that, I have only one child, but I ensure that they're always going to visit their cousins, or they're in gatherings that have a number of people, then they will get those social skills more. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I always tell people that they have, one or two children. Where are their cousins? Are their cousins there? Do you understand? Plan things that would help them with their social skills. That they're not spending. Be intentional. So where you find out that your family dynamics doesn't have that will promote that, go and be intentional in the environment that you need to help your child get those things. So the important thing is that, what do we need? The birth order has its pros and cons if just allowed for natural dynamics to happen. You know what I mean by natural dynamics? You're not putting in an additional factor. But as a parent, you want your child to be an independent learner. You want your child to be responsible. You want your child to have social skills. You want your child to have this and that and that. You need to ask yourself, if the dynamics of my current family environment is not providing that, what are the other things that I can do to ensure that? Honestly, because we are, from a large family, we know how to settle dispute, because we used to have Fuji House of Commotion, as in like someone is always short. I now think back and say, how did my mom cope? Because someone is always reporting, something is always happening. Then you begin to learn who are these, in my house, you don't
Who are the
learn who are the power,
troublemakers? And we are the
power brokers.
peacemakers.
And then who are the power brokers without being the authority figure? Do you understand? My two
Yes,
sisters,
so
the first and the second, they were power brokers, even though they were not the final authority. But in them, they were real power brokers. So maybe that's why I can go into a place and start saying, okay, this person is the one with the title, but this person is the one with the power. You understand? Because
oh
my
my
mom had
goodness.
the title. My mom had the title, but my sister, our firstborn, had the power. If my mom says jump and my sister doesn't say jump, you know if it jump. Anyway, so what I'm just saying is, those dynamics come from a lot of things. You as a parent, that's what I think. You as a parent need to be intentional about looking for those experiences and exposure that will make your child more balanced. Let me stop there. Our last born,
Good morning. Good morning.
our last born, tell us how she
Morning, Nitya.
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah,
Good morning.
thank you. Good morning. Good morning. If you can welcome.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so the position in the family has been assigned now. So let's hear from
I
the
know
last
I'm the
born.
last. Let me just go ahead. Let
More
me say what.
privileges.
Last one privileges, yeah, but no,
Yeah,
just go
what
ahead.
are
Go ahead.
let's give last born privileges so that we hear from you. What do you think about the positioning of a child in the family and their academic performance?
Okay. I don't know how much and what we've talked about because I wasn't following all through, but I would not say it directly affects, the positioning of a child, in the family directly affects performance. What I think happens is that there's a lot of focus, there's a lot of responsibility placed on the first children. I'm not necessarily saying the first child now, because depending on the number of children in the family, like you could have a family who have like 7, 8, 9 children, okay? And it's different from a family that has just 2 children. So in my family, we have 4 girls, and the bulk of the responsibility was laid on myself and my elder sister. We're very close. We're about a year or so apart. And I find that it's different, the way and the attention we've been given, the focus we've been given, the discipline we've been given has been different from what my younger sisters have experienced. And it cuts across different families. So I think it lies with the fact that firstborns are usually burdened with that load of being responsible for your younger ones, going out there, you need to look after them, you need to care for them. So you're constantly thinking in your head, what do I need to do to put things in place for everything to be in order? You are expected to be a high achiever, so you be a good example to your younger ones. And that puts you on constant pressure, puts you on your feet. And you cannot fail, because if you fail, what do you want your younger ones to learn? And it then leads to you trying to be perfect, so it leads to the elder ones trying to be perfectionists. And I think all these add up to define the personalities of the children. All these experiences, all this pressure defines to add up and toughen you up as an elder one, in the family. So are we still there?
Yes,
we can hear you.
Oh, okay. So it ends up toughening you and making you, okay, no, I have to do this, I have to do this. And that defines your personality, because don't forget that we are a product of our experiences. So all these experiences link up to make you the who you are today. And the way you express your intelligence is determined by your personality. So what do I mean by this? How you use your intelligence is largely it's greatly determined on what your personality is. And this personality tests have there's a lot of research around this actually. Some researchers have identified that firstborns are often very conscientious or high achievers and responsible and always looking out for their younger ones who are more rebellious and seemingly have everything offered to them on a platter of gold. And let's leave the fracas that could go on with that. But bringing it back home, I think it is these experiences that define who or how these intelligences are expressed. I'll stop there. I'll stop there for now. Seniors, please, where are my firstborn and my big elders in the house?
I'm not sure the firstborn is in. Secondborn. Okay, so.
Yes, senior. Yes, senior. Yes, senior.
Yes, that's what we've been saying. The fact that it's really the experiences and the role of every parent. It's not easy to do because your energy level, to be honest, as a parent, diminishes as years pass.
Yes, so yes.
But our role as parents is really to give everybody, as much as possible, the same experience. And not necessarily, when I mean the same, that same experience is in quotes because it also has to take care of their personalities and who they are. So I don't mean same exactly,
Okay. Because I was going to ask, is it possible to give the same experience?
But what I'm saying is that you give them room for responsibility.
Yes.
You give them room for expression. You give them room. That's what I mean by the same, but not necessarily that it has to be exactly the same. Because you must always accommodate for the differences in personalities, in skill sets, and all those. Like me, I hated cooking as a child. I still do as an adult anyway. But that was my punishment because I'd burnt, I would be in the kitchen reading a novel and the food is on fire. It's the people outside the kitchen that will come and say the food is burning. So for a long time, my mom made that my punishment. Any punishment she wanted to do my punishment was cooking. I guess in her mind, she was like, she has to prepare me for my husband. Anyway, so...
Okay, so
go ahead.
As often we would take one more aspect of it. Let's take it now. Let's look at it as intelligence. So as mothers grow older, medically, biologically, there's this thing about the children born to older women have some, I want to put this in a way that would not sound very controversial, but that children born to older women have sometimes they say the children of old age or the children of the gray hair, or that sometimes they're either super intelligent or they are lacking in along the developmental stages. If a child is struggling and maybe he's not doing proper, he's not in school, should this be an area to be looking at? Like, should the teacher be asking, how old was your mother when she gave birth to you? So this is quite a technical, a difficult one, but I would just like for us to look in that direction. Does the age of the mother actually have anything to do with the intelligence of the child?
No.
Who would build the
It has nothing to do with the age of the child. In the end, I like what we said earlier. It's really about the individual. It has nothing to do with the age of the child. You see, some people have kids older and they are more prepared. Some people, they have it older when they have the child, but they're not ready to do put in what is required, to help nurture the child. That's what I would use. So if you and it has nothing to do with age. In the end, it's the mindset and the decisions of that person. Because I know people that they are older in age, but they decided that because they know where they are lacking, they use their village. You understand what I'm saying? They use the village to train the child, and that is why it really takes a village to train a child. When you know your shortcomings, but you're surrounded by a community of people. So it's like how you are also training your sister's child. So when you want to deal with your sister wants to deal with her child, and she knows that there's one of her siblings that is the real correct person that would not allow this her. She will send you to what, go and spend the weekend with Auntie Fee, knowing that by the time she comes back from that her behavior, Auntie Fee will help to correct it. so what I'm saying is that it's the same thing. I remember that my son did not want to stop. What was it now? Maybe the bottle or something. I just sent him for a whole week at his grandma's place. He came back with no bottle, because I knew that some of the things that I wasn't ready to do, when I just said it to grandma, that would say, "What is all this? What is that? Just throw the things and bring out amala." Do you understand?
Yeah.
So bring out amala ewedu. My son came back chopping amala ewedu, all the one that was in smell with me. The point I'm making is that it's you identifying what is necessary for this child to be successful. What are my own limitations as a parent based on my surroundings, and how can I leverage on the village around me to train the child. So that's why you find out that if you leave it only to the grandma. My husband keeps saying that he's amazed at his mom, what she did with them, and meanwhile what she's doing with our children. My grandma will buy a whole packet of sweets. Grandma buy a whole packet of sweets and just drop it there. The children will just be eating it.
Yeah, it's a granny effect.
The granny effect. But there's some things that that is grandma's strength. So that's why I say that it's not the age. I know where I'm lacking as a parent. I know where, and I know the people in my village where I mean from my siblings down that would help. It's the same thing. And now that as my sister's kids are older, I get them involved. So the other time, my son, is now a teenager. He's now giving me some teenage vibes. And mommy is old. I get his older cousin, to talk to him. And every time his older cousin talks to him, he just feels that that one knows stuff. That one is not old like his mother. So it's important that we realize that it takes a village, honestly, to raise a child. And don't be limited to know your limitations immediately. Know the things that are important to nurture the child. Be open to letting other people in to help you. So it's not the age. For me, it's never the age. You know your energy level. So you know that your energy level is so that you can't keep up with the child. And you have to say, who within my village can I help? Knowing that these are the things that I want the child to have, to be responsible, to be this. That's the same thing our parents did sometimes when we were younger. They sent you to one person's house for one reason or the other, because they also understood their shortcomings. Although in their own case, it was the more very wicked auntie, but let's not go there.
Yes, we want to skip. We want to skip that. Thank you so much. I have really enjoyed our discussion this morning, and I hope that it's been of benefit also to our tribe out there and to anyone and everyone who is going to watch and watch a replay of this, understanding that yes, it takes a village and it takes intentionality to help our kids do well, perform better in school and in class. So in 1 minute each, let's take a pattern shots from Gochi and Pyok.
Okay, can I go first? Or I allow my
Yes,
seniors
please.
to go first?
No, you have
Okay.
the last one privilege of going first.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just going to go from, your last question as to what the relationship could be with children who are born to older women. And I'm going to just chip in a little bit from the scientific point of view, or the genetic effects that could affect development and learning. Now, generally, as we advance in age, okay, let's say, I think scientifically it says from 35 or 36 and above or beyond, there are risks, okay, maternal risks that could affect children's development, that could affect children's intelligence, that could affect their health as well. So as we are talking about children born to older women, lacking developmentally, this could be one aspect, one part of it that could affect how they express their intelligence, that could affect how they learn, and affect, generally how they turn out in future. So let's just bear that in mind as well.
Oh, definitely.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you very much, Ms. Adeusi. Thank you, Ugochi. She's not here with us anymore. Network, wow, has done us some real strong ones today. And if you wanted to say something,
no, go ahead. I actually wanted to hear what Titi wanted to say.
Okay, my pattern shot is that yes, as birth order affects, that's the fact, because of what happens naturally in terms of how the parents behave, the energy level, how much time they have, as how much money gets into the family. Usually when you start your first, the amount of money you have is not as much as you get. Those are all
you have money for everything for the first child, until the second comes in, and then
yes, and then the novelty of the first child vis-a-vis as you get down to the fourth and the fifth. So it does have an effect. But what we need to do as parents is to be conscious of this effect and say to ourselves, how do we balance things to ensure that our children are given the best environment to excel? And how do we also take into consideration their different personalities, their different needs as individuals, as different unique individuals, to give them the best environment that we can, and remember that you're not alone. It should take a village to raise a child. A village that raises a child is a more balanced child than when two imperfect individuals try. The village brings balance. They don't look at things with rose-tinted glasses that you look at it. So it's important to let your village help, so to speak, as you help your child to be the best and get them to provide the best academic performance that they can.
Thank you so much. So let's employ our village, let's engage our village, and have ourselves a beautiful weekend as we round off the week. And we round off the show with in our usual manner, and tell our audience that on the Good Morning Show, let's take it away.
Always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Have a great
Bye.
weekend. Bye.
Bye.